Hey everybody, it's your girl El Rochelle with Hardwood Diva on location in Williamsburg, Virginia. I made sure to get you this NFL video, so I decided to do the shoot on my patio. You can't see anything probably, it's kind of dark, but we are in Williamsburg and it's gorgeous, but it is muggy as I don't know what, so I'm going to try and get this video done before the bugs attack me. Alrighty, so as we all know, this is the first week of the NFL, and if anyone is like me, they are excited as I don't know what. We've been waiting for this for months. It's time to get started. So first up, Thursday we're going to have New Orleans versus Green Bay. This is going to be a matchup of the last two Super Bowl champions, two NFC powerhouses, two teams that can run up the score, so this should be interesting. However, New Orleans over the last couple of years doesn't do well in openers when it comes to offense, so we should see something a little different from them. The game's at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Thursday evening. I'm going with the New Orleans Saints, only because that Super Bowl hangover, even though they didn't get to really celebrate the way most teams do because of the lockout, still do think that Green Bay is going to have a little tougher time. But don't get me wrong, there's chance for either of them to win. I'm just going to go ahead and pick New Orleans. Sunday, the day we all have truly been waiting for. Getting back to our Sundays, having 18 million games going on at once. First up, Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we're going to have Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Baltimore Ravens. This is always an interesting game. Those two teams literally hate each other. They talk about each other all off season, so this should be good. Going with the Pittsburgh Steelers, don't see them really losing much and don't really see them changing too much in the way that they've been playing over the last couple of years. They're still a very solid team, even though they've lost, they lost the Super Bowl last year. I still do definitely see Pittsburgh going far in the AFC, so I'm going to go ahead and pick them. Also at 10, we've got Atlanta versus Chicago. Chicago added a few pieces for offense, getting a couple Dallas Cowboys players, but I'm not too sure that's going to really make that big a difference. I do think Cutler is going to try to make up for how the season ended for the Chicago Bears last year, but I'm not sure if I can see them beating Atlanta. Atlanta's still hitting on all cylinders. They're adding a couple of rookie players that I think are going to be essential. So I'm still seeing Atlanta going ahead and making that difference. Next up, Cincinnati versus Cleveland. This one's interesting because, let's be honest, neither of these two teams is amazing. Cleveland, I believe, is on the upswing. Cincinnati is kind of on a downswing. They're in that point where we're going to just kind of see what's going to happen with Marvin Lewis. No one even knows if Carson Palmer might even show up randomly. That's literally what everyone's still saying for Cincinnati. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Cleveland Browns because I think that their trajectory is a lot higher as of right now. I think they're on the upswing, like I said. I think Cincinnati is reeling at this point. Should be interesting, but I'm going to go ahead and go with Cleveland. Next up, also a 10 o'clock game, we've got Indianapolis versus Houston. Picking Houston mainly because we're not going to have Peyton Manning, and we don't know for how long we're not going to be seeing Peyton Manning. Unfortunately, the neck injury that he tried to have repaired this summer is not reacting the way that they want it to, and it's not reacting the way Peyton wants it to. He knows his body, and if he's willing to not show up for the game and risk his start record, I definitely believe that this is something we should be watching out for. So I'm going to have to go with Houston and honestly see them as a better team. Even with Peyton, I wouldn't be too surprised if they were still able to win. They won last year, so definitely see that as a team that might be making some moves in the AFC. Next up, Tennessee versus Jacksonville. Jacksonville just a couple of days ago got rid of David Garrard, and that should be interesting. They're going with McCown. They want to eventually get Blaine Gabbert into there. So I think right now they're just kind of holding on to the ship, just doing a little bit that they can and waiting for Blaine to show up. So I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans. Buffalo versus KC. KC is actually still trying to figure out if they're going to have their starting quarterback. There are a couple quarterback issues around the league this first week, and I'm definitely seeing Buffalo as that quiet team no one's really watching for, no one's really knowing. They're quietly building a very solid team. They've got very solid coaching, and I think they should be someone to watch for over the next couple of years, so I'm going to go with Buffalo. Then next up, we've got Philly versus St. Louis. Picking Philly. Yes, they are the dream team, and, I mean, of course, I think we'll see a little, not a downswing, but we're not going to see Michael Vick the way we saw Michael Vick last year. And only because defense truly have a better chance of trying to prepare for him. So you can't truly prepare for that man and his skills, his talents. But I think they'll be a little better prepared for him. So I'm going to have to go. I'm still going to go with Philly. I'm just not sure what we're going to see from Philly over the next couple of months. Detroit versus Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay. Solid squad. Detroit is still kind of a team where they're doing well, and they'll probably continue to do well, but I still think Tampa Bay is right there at that point, and Detroit's just not there yet. Now we've got the 1:15 games. Carolina, Arizona. Going with Arizona, Cam Newton's doing a great job, but he's still a rookie quarterback. Still doesn't have all the pieces around him just yet, and Arizona is a lot better equipped to move forward at this moment with a new QB. So I'm going to go with Arizona. Minnesota versus San Diego. Picking San Diego only because of San Diego. They've been amazing for the last couple of years. Last year was kind of crazy. They had the number one offense, number one defense, but their special teams was terrible, and is actually the reason they didn't make it to the playoffs, which is crazy. Shows you how important special teams is. So it should be interesting. I think they want to make up for what they did last year. And so I'm going to, for this one, I'm going with San Diego, even though Minnesota, I think, is going to have a comeback year this year. I think with Donovan's trying to, prove some things. So I think it's going to work for them. But I'm going to have to go with San Diego. Seattle versus San Francisco. Interesting because Seattle, I don't know what they're doing with Tavares Jackson. San Francisco, we always have this how's Alex Smith going to do kind of questioning going on. But I think San Francisco is still kind of, they're on the cusp. We'll have to see what's going to happen with Alex Smith, but I think they can get the game this weekend. So I'm going to go with San Francisco. Then we've got the Giants versus Washington. This one's interesting. Giants coming off a very interesting season last year. Washington, even though they don't have Donovan McNabb, last year was a total bust for them. And they're going with a couple of new guys. Well, not new guys. Rex Rosen's not a new guy. But, just kind of some quarterbacks you haven't seen in a while. But they've actually put together a pretty good preseason. So, with that said, I'm on the fence right now about this game. I'm going to go with the Giants just because they're overall a more proven team. But don't be surprised if Washington pulls this one off. Then we've got the evening game, which is going to be Dallas versus the Jets. That game is going to be 5:20. This one's tough for me. I like the Jets. I love the Cowboys. Going with the Cowboys. Of course, that's my team. I still do think the Jets are going to have an amazing year this year. I think this is Mark Sanchez's year. I think this is when he fully comes into himself as a captain, fully comes into himself as a quarterback, really takes the reins for the team. I think they can do it this year. But I still love my Dallas Cowboys, so I don't think they're going to win their first game. Monday, we've got a doubleheader, which I love on Mondays. That's probably one of the best things about the first week of the season. Monday, first game, 4 p.m., we've got New England versus Miami. Going with New England. Miami, however, will do what they can to make the AFC East interesting and definitely make sure that it's not just a battle between the New York Jets and the New England Patriots. And finally, we've got Oakland versus Denver, 7:15. Going with Oakland. Do think Denver is going to do better this year because they know what they're doing at quarterback. Sad to see what's going on with Tim Tebow. But I personally think if you're not prepared to be a quarterback, don't put somebody in there just because your fans root for him and just because you made the mistake of picking him too early. But I do think Tim Tebow has the possibility of being a decent quarterback. Won't say he's terrible, but just not sure if he's going to be a first stringer. So, those are the games that we have up for week 1. Those are my picks. I know everyone's not going to agree with them. Who cares? This is all about having a good time. So, everyone enjoy the first week of the season and get back at me. Love you.